Hey guys, welcome back to this YouTube channel where we discuss all things related to winning your Social Security disability benefits. I'm Cody Ricks, and today we're going to be talking about the initial stage of the process. So if you didn't catch my last video, basically the initial level of the process is the first place your case goes. It's the first level of the process of appeals, basically. So once Social Security, and I mean SSA when I say Social Security, that is the office. Your local Social Security office is the office that will evaluate your case for technical eligibility. So if you didn't catch my earlier video on what Social Security disability benefits are, you've got different programs. Of course, you've got supplemental security income, which is more commonly referred to as SSI. That's going to be based off of your household income and assets. And then you also have Social Security disability insurance, which is based off of the work credits that you have built up by working and paying Social Security tax. So basically, your local Social Security office will make sure that you pass those technical hurdles. So they'll check your household resources and or check how many work credits you have. And if you pass those technical qualifications, either for SSI, SSDI, or both, they will transfer your case for medical review to DDS, and that is an acronym for, the government loves acronyms. That stands for the Disability Determination Services. So even though Social Security is a federal program, they delegate medical decisions to the state. So it's kind of weird, but your case will be assigned to what's called an adjudicator at the initial level at DDS, and that person will essentially be making the decision on your case. So they'll be doing things like gathering medical records from all the different providers you've seen. They will evaluate those medical records, read them. They will have your case opined on by one of the doctors that work for Social Security. They will gather information from you. Some things that you will get at this initial level in most cases are what's called a function report and/or a work history report. So if you've ever received these, you know that there are these big packets that you get in the mail, and they basically just go over the work history report. Obviously, that's kind of self-explanatory. It just goes over things like what were the full-time jobs that you did in the last 15 years? What were the physical demands of those jobs? What physical position were you in those jobs all day? Was it a sitting job? Was it standing? Were you climbing up on roofs? What were you doing? It'll ask how much weight you were lifting at that job. If it's a desk job, probably not very much. But if say you're doing a construction job, you might lift up to 100 pounds regularly. So it just kind of depends. You want to make sure you fill those out accurately. And the other form that I mentioned was what's called a function report, and that just kind of goes over your functional limitations. So it'll ask you things like, what do you do during the day? Are you able to drive? How do you usually leave the house? Are you able to leave the house by yourself? Do you do your shopping? Are you able to manage money? Are you having issues with stress? Do you wear any assistive medical devices? So like a cane, a walker, hearing aids, glasses, things of that nature. It'll also ask you what your opinion is on how much weight you're able to lift. And I tell people that the function report, obviously you should fill that out, but that is the one document that they meaning Social Security, will typically use to deny people's cases with, because people, you just got to remember that you're trying to prove that you're not able to work. And so if you get on the function report and say, I go fishing on the weekends and I do all these, extracurricular activities, well, Social Security, especially the judges, are going to zero in on something like that. Camping, hiking. I've even had judges complain about my client who said they were throwing darts at a dartboard in the basement. That was too much physical activity. So obviously you want to be honest, but you want to make sure that you kind of fill it out in a smart way where, if you threw darts at a dartboard once in the last year, I probably wouldn't say that's one of my regular activities. You could say that's something I was able to do before I became disabled, more on a regular basis, but you want to be kind of specific so they don't understand it as you're doing all this physical activity. Because remember, especially if you're applying for disability based on a physical impairment, but then you say you're going out and doing all these physically active activities, well, that's going to create a red flag. Similarly with mental health, if you are applying for disability based and have depression and anxiety, and you're saying that that is one of your severe impairments, but then you say in your form, you write in your form, well, I go to the basketball games on the weeknights with my friends or family, and I go to the mall and casinos, whatever the case may be, heavily crowded areas. Well, you better believe that Social Security is going to bring that up and use that against you as evidence that you in fact can deal with the general public or be in crowds of people, if that makes sense. So just kind of be careful. Now, one other thing Social Security might do at the initial stage of the process is they have the right to send you to what's called a consultative examination. And basically that just means that they'll send you to one of their doctors that they contract out with, and it might be, they do it for various different reasons. They do physical evaluations, they also do mental health evaluations. Sometimes they'll send you out for x-rays, things of that nature. But basically that's Social Security getting a second opinion on what your functional limitations are. So if they do feel like they need that appointment, they will send you a notice in the mail with the date, time, and location of the appointment. And you just want to make sure that you do comply with the doctor's appointments that they schedule for you, because if you don't attend, they can actually deny your case for noncompliance. There's just one more of the many ways that they can easily deny somebody's case. So just make sure that you're kind of careful with that. And then same thing, if you didn't watch my earlier video on tips on strengthening your case, just make sure that you understand this doctor has been hired by Social Security, and they are going to put everything that you say to them in the report that they write. So obviously you want to be honest with this person and let them know what you're dealing with, but kind of again, if the last time you went water skiing was 3 years ago, don't tell this doctor one of your regular activities is water skiing. And I hear from clients all the time that the doctor was so nice and using great language and saying like, oh, you should get approved. I hope you get approved, da 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 da. And then they get the reports, and a lot of times they get really angry about what they're reading, because it's almost like the doctor isn't even writing about the same appointment. They write a lot of claimant unfriendly things in there. So that's just why it's important to be honest. You don't want to overshare, you don't want to undershare, but then you also want to have your own doctor who is ideally supportive of your case, so that way Social Security isn't just solely relying on that doctor's opinion to decide your case, because usually that doesn't go how you want it to. And then the last thing I want to say about the initial stage of the process is that most people get denied at this level. And I hate to say that it's just push and paper, but a lot of it is just push and paper. I get, for my office anyway, about less than 30% of my cases get granted at the initial level. And that is just because you have an adjudicator looking at your case rather than a judge. You're not arguing your case in person. All they're doing is reading about you through your medical records and statements that you make. And they just don't have as much power to grant cases as a judge would. So if you do get denied at this level, I just tell people that you shouldn't be discouraged, and that you should continue pursuing disability benefits, because at a hearing, and if a judge sees you and you're able to successfully argue your case there, that's you're more likely to win benefits at that level. So just stay with it. I know it is a long time to wait, but in most situations, of course there's always things that happen where this doesn't happen, but most of the time if you are awarded, Social Security will go back and back pay you for all the time that you were waiting to receive, since the date you applied, basically, in most cases. I mean, it's a little bit more technical than that, but so there is kind of a light at the end of the tunnel if you are able to make it through that process. And then if you do get denied, just remember that you have a 60-day window to file the appeal. And if you miss that deadline, you have to start over if you want to continue pursuing benefits. So it's really easy to file an appeal. I'll link the appeal to this website. You just do it online through Social Security's website, and basically all you go and do is just say you're appealing the decision, you want to pursue the case further, and then and then in your appeal you would just put your medical update. So, you know, since since you filed your application, you've been to this hospital, you know, you had an emergency room visit, you've started seeing a new physical therapist, you know, and on the appeal there will be a place where you can put all that information, and then that way when Social Security reevaluates your case at the reconsideration level, they'll have updated medical treatment and more evidence to gather, and they'll take that into consideration when they make the decision at reconsideration. So I hope this has been helpful to you. If you like the content in this video, go ahead and like it and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time for more content about Social Security disability. Thanks.